opponent that can do something about it. We'll see. I feel good about the Syracuse game. Feel good about the outcome of that game. And in fact, I feel good about what I think is going to be a large disparity in scores between Florida State and Syracuse. I've never liked what Syracuse does defensively, and I never really thought it worked against us. So I'm going to feel much better again on Saturday, and I think we'll all continue that. All right, we can wring our hands a little bit less. Still elements that got to get better. First and foremost, though, since we're just starting the show, let's do this. Happy birthday, Mike Norvell, 42 years old. I remember at 42 years old, I had what? I had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
I knew you at 42 years old.
Yeah, you did, of course. Yeah, you did. Very well by that point. Yes. We had been working together for some time by that point.
I guess that's right.
Yes.
You were 42 when we won a national championship.
That was 10 years. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, Mike, your turn.
Here you go, Mike. All you got to do is keep it rolling. Let's just live up to it. I'd take it every decade if you would do that. I win one here at 52, just like we did at 42. I'll take another one at 62. Just you got to steady wins the race. Steady wins the race. But 42 is a good age. I thought 37 was my favorite age, I think. 37, 38, somewhere in there.
37. All right.
Felt like 37.
I'm just about to leave 37 in.
37's quality. 37, 38 it's a good time right there.
Got 2 weeks left in 37.
But here's why. I said 37, 38 in that area. So you got another one of those good areas coming up. Goes downhill from there, Tommy.
Wait a minute. I got 2 weeks left in 36. See, I've gotten to the
you
time.
Don't even know.
I don't even know the math anymore.
You're going to be 37.
Yeah. So I'm entering your favorite year.
There it is. Well, one of the things that happens is, you've lived long enough to know better, and you're still young enough to do something about it if you figure something out and, all that stuff. So it's perfect right there. You're not silly. You're not a silly goose like you are when you're 25.
Oh, like Charlie Campbell.
That's right. But you're also not so old that when you try to sprint, you pull a hamstring. You got a chance to still sprint, Tom. Do it while you can, buddy. It's amazing how it happens. Anyhow, so Mike's 42. He's out there still running. Nobody would let him win today. The pre-practice race that begins every practice in the indoor practice facility. How many more times can you say practice, Jeff? And he takes great pride in that, but everybody was out in front of him today. They're like, no, buddy, we know it's your birthday. You ain't beat nobody.
Does he make it to 44 doing that thing?
Not without hurting himself, probably.
Again, because he did before one time already.
Yeah, he did. It's you get into your 40s, it gets dicey when you're in an all-out sprint. Did you have too much coffee that morning? Are you hydrated? Did you limber up before practice? I mean, there's a lot you got to do just to sprint.
Also, when does it get ridiculous if it isn't already? Like if our rivals, if that was our rival head coach doing that and racing kids,
but he doesn't do it. Yeah, he does it before the game, before practice, not before a game like our man over at Clemson running down a hill. Yeah. Little bit.
He is a special case, isn't he?
Well, I think he's got to be. Can you imagine, like, big picture here? Let's look at it from 30,000 feet up. Can you imagine, though, if you take the time, and a lot of coaches don't have the time, and I understand that. But if you think about it, if you're Mike Norvell, you're turning 42 years old. You're a multimillionaire. Your program's won 11 straight games. I would presume happily married, beautiful children. Daughter, I should say. Yeah, I mean, he's
going to Charlotte as long as you don't screw it up.
I know he's immersed right now, and that's the thing about this season. It's been omnipresent in our conversations. I mean, all we've talked about is the fact that they're good, and they're one of the teams in contention, but there's room for improvement. And we talk about hand-wringing and why that is, and is it fair or not fair? But I know from a coach's perspective, they certainly see the inconsistencies more than most. Even when they're really humming, they see things that maybe the rest of us don't. Well, these things are pretty obvious to everybody on the surface that they just haven't always been able to piece together, long stretches of play without something going south on you. And so, he's concerned about that because to win a national championship, you're going to have to be in excellent form. You're going to have to be playing your best brand of football. The good news for him is they are undefeated. They're heavy favorites again this Saturday against Syracuse, and they've done that without being in their best form. So the search continues, and you get an opportunity to coach up kids and point out the things that are causing the hiccups.
And you did so in that game, running the ball with two backup. Well, don't want to go that far, but at least one backup left tackle and then a rotational right tackle. Because we think at this point, if Bless is available, maybe
Right.
Byers isn't there.
Right,
That's going to
right.
be an interesting shuffle when everybody is healthy and back and Robert Scott returns. Like, who are going to be your starting five? There's one play that sticks with me, and it's the long touchdown run in the second half because they run to the right. A lot of the success they had on that specific action was to the left early in the game.
Mhm.
But the reason that play sticks out to me is because Keandre Jones, at 330 pounds, looked as agile as I've ever seen Keandre Jones look.
Not normally the adjective used to describe Keandre Jones.
That's an interesting image. If you can do more of that, perhaps he gets more playing time. I feel like this is a fluid situation moving forward.
It would be weird, though, right? It wouldn't make a lot of sense for a guy who's not been fleet of foot, agile, if you would, to suddenly be. I mean, that is strange, but it did happen. It is on film. You did see him look nimble.
It's different than a counter movement, so it's a different style of play, but they ran that concept to death. But Keandre, I thought in the Boston College game, was a far better option. Now, that might have been because, Meach had the flu.
Yeah.
But that was more straight ahead stuff. But I just wonder, as they get completely healthy on the offensive line, if they ever can get completely healthy on the offensive line, what is the best five? Because we're through 5 games, and while we know we missed Maurice Smith when he was gone, and we know we are missing Robert Scott when he's gone, when they're all ready and they all come back and bless Harris, what is the 5?
I believe the starting 5 will be Bless Harris at right tackle. I have a suspicion that, you and I both feel like Byers should give it a go at guard at some point here.
And
but
even if that means that it doesn't work this season, tackle ain't going to work. It doesn't look like.
No, doesn't appear so. That's unfortunate, too, because, they invested in him. And really, he was a guy that we thought could be a huge difference maker. He's not burdensome, but he is not a guy that is going to make a huge difference for you week to week. He's not a game changer. So
I think Jazz was better at counter than Byers was.
I think that's true.
Byers is.
Yeah. So, you could slide Byers inside because he's got good feet and you can pull him and do all those things. I don't know if they will, if they'll supplant Meach or if they want Washington there or whatever they want to do.
Well, it's not like Roddick is locked in at left guard either.
I know. Well, I think the interior of our offensive line is problematic. I think I said before the start of this season, if I was worried about anything, it was the interior of the offensive line. So, I feel pretty good. Got that one right, unfortunately. That has been certainly an area of concern. It's not the end of the world. They're not. Ira said it best yesterday when we were doing headlines. When we're talking about the things that at this point of the season, as you approach sort of the halfway point, you start thinking about the things you got right in camp, things you got wrong in camp, things that you're surprised by or excited by, at least in terms of personnel, things that you think can improve over the next 6-7 weeks, and things that you think just are. That's just what they are at this point, right? Certain players, you get enough evidence, you say, well, that's just who he is. There's some good there, but you're going to have to take the bad with it. And I said when we talked about it, well, the offensive line has disappointed me. But he correctly pointed out, yeah, but maybe this is just the best it could be given how bad off it was just 2 years ago. And he's right. Like, think about what you had to do to get this thing from the worst in the league to now in the upper echelon of the league. It's in the upper half of the league.
Yeah.
It's so.
And they protected the passer better than, and they didn't have a great week against Virginia Tech, but if you're looking at the 5 games, they've protected the passer better than we expected, and they've sprung the run worse than we've expected.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey for that group, and one that if you don't lose sight, and I think it's correct to point out that they have revamped and altered their capabilities up front radically compared to where they were just 2 years ago. Now, that said, it is another reminder, and I'm reminded of something Mark Stoops said in his press conference, and I'll bring this all in and tie it together because I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm reminded that there just are some positions, and generally speaking, I think still, if you can find 5-star kids out of the high school ranks and bring them into the fold and build them up and get them out there for you in year 2, year 3, you're better off doing that, because what's not in the portal very often are 5-star caliber offensive linemen looking to transfer. You don't see that position, an abundance from that position of those caliber players. Instead, what you get are players that can help fill holes and round out a group if we're just talking about the segment group as a whole. You can find a Byers who you bring in, and maybe he starts for you, or he's a quality backup for you. You can find a kid that you bring in and you say, well, in short yardage situations, Keandre Jones is really going to help us, or Roddick is really going to help us in this situation, but we don't have to rely on him right now because we've got that 5-star kid we brought in 2 years ago, and now he's ready to go. That's the ideal way to do it. That's what you see with Alabama and Georgia most of the time. Now, there are exceptions. Miami did a really good job of bringing in 2 high-quality offensive linemen this year, and that certainly helped their team up until they forgot to kneel.
That they did. I'd forgotten about that play that they called where they did not kneel the ball and they ran the ball instead.
Didn't kneel, no.
But to your point, even our own offensive coordinator and offensive line coach said in the preseason, my favorite thing to do is sit old dudes for young dudes.
Yeah.
That was before camp started. So I don't know if that means that he expected to see some of the younger guys take a jump.
A bigger step forward,
he can make that move.
Mm-hmm.
But he's willing to say that out loud on the record to the media, that I like sitting old dudes for young dudes. And I tell them in my meeting room every day that I like that. And they might just not be there right now.
So I bring this up because I was laughing thinking about what you're trying to do with NIL and what you're trying to do with players and fill roster spots, but also knowing that maybe at its core, this upcoming class is a breath of fresh air because you're now recruiting well at the high school ranks, and you've got to continue to remain upwardly mobile in that trek. Kentucky coach Mark Stoops basically did what I think a lot of coaches will do when they're on the wrong end of ass kickings and they see the future of this sport as evident, right? It's obvious what's happening with this sport right now. They lost 51-13 to Georgia on Saturday. We know that. And the game was not close at all. He said about that game, I can promise you Georgia bought some really good players. Now, that was in response to an upset fan on the weekly radio show. The fan was questioning how you could get beat 51-13, and he's angry, as fans want to be. Quote, now you're allowed to these days, and we could use some help. That's what they look like. You know what I mean? When you have 85 guys like that, I encourage anybody that's disgruntled, pony up. Asked about what Stoops had to say about that, Kirby Smart said, I have no reaction. It's much ado about nothing. I think Mark is trying to garner interest for more money from his fan base for the collective. And we're all trying to do the same in terms of trying to get money for our collectives. Mark and I talked about NIL all through the pregame. We talked about it in our meeting. I'm not biting on that. I'm not mad. So he gets it. He knows. And I would just say, once again, that we know that's the reality of the situation. That's not unlike what Nick Saban said about Texas A&M, basically.
It's what Dino said in the summer about Mike. He said that on Radio Row.
Yeah, done a really good job with the NIL. Yeah. So at the end of the day, great news for our friends at the Battle's Inn. All of that is said out loud now, and we've seen the direct result of the successes. Like, all jokes aside, the Battle's Inn is largely responsible for roster retention and, of course, filling in those holes where we needed to find some guys. I mean, this may not be a 5-star right tackle that we brought in the form of Byers, but he's serviceable, and he's probably better than what you would have had at this point. Until you can ready the younger players, you've got to have guys that have experience and the right size on them and technique. And, that's, again, you see the need to marry the high school recruiting with the ability to attract transfer portal kids and roster retention as well as acquisition. And so the Battle's End is probably one of the most high profile at this point organizations in this space that we've seen. Like, you don't know too many. Like, if you look around the country, there are a few others, and there are others that are doing very, very well. They're
starting to band together, as you see in the news.
Yeah, and by the way, there have been articles written about this. This is an opinion of mine. When you look at the assessments that have been made of the various collectives around the country, the Battle's Inn is always at the forefront of being mentioned amongst the 2 or 3 most successful. And we've really benefited greatly because it's been an organized approach and a fundamental effort to do more than just grab a player, but make this about something bigger, which, of course, I think resonates with parents of these kids too.
I just wonder, so we all know about it, and it was kind of organic, the way that the Battle's End rose to prominence from, Rising Spear being like the clear far and away.
Yeah.
And then there's this line of delineation where at one point it turns to Battle's End becomes football primarily, and then Rising Spear does a lot with all of the other sports, and they both have their role.
Mhm.
But the way that came about was kind of sudden. And once it's all over and the state of Florida has allowed for the door to be open to communicate about those things, I just wonder, like, Mark Stoops is saying that out loud. Is Kentucky that much more relaxed than Florida? I know he's saying it out of exasperation and frustration,
Mhm.
but is the state of Kentucky, or is it a Commonwealth? I forget, versus Florida that much more relaxed where the head coach can kind of just say it when he wants to?
Well, coaches now across the country, including Mike Norvell, say give to the Battle's End.
He's on a video loop saying that,
Yeah.
but
He
I
has
wonder,
said it
like,
publicly.
at what point will it be that they go stumping instead of a booster tour? They do that
Well,
instead.
that's an interesting conversation in general.
Because you become competitor. That's the weird thing. Is like
you
the booster
can become a
becomes
very
competitor.
competitive thing. Fans get
Like,
confused.
Is it any coincidence that, for example, before Florida State kicks off, now I watch all these games on TV because I do the post-game show, but we've been on ABC like every week, it feels like, save for Southern Miss. And the spot that runs before the game, or the first spot in the first block, is a 60-second booster spot that's fully HD, and it's Fabo every week saying, I got to tell you why I love the boosters.
Yeah.
They're just the best.
Well, they've had several players film that. Lawrence Toafili films one as well.
But like Fabo's, it seems like, is always the one that's on, because it's a really strong message. He does a very good job. But I don't know that spot is that well produced before NIL exists, because the boosters know that all the money's coming their way. If you're going to spend on Florida State, you go in that direction. It's interesting to me how the empire is built and where the monies need to go. It's not confusing as it is fascinating.
Right. I would also say that I think that probably in-house there, like you're describing, there is much consternation. Although the most successful groups work together on these things and figure out how to make that work. I can tell you it wasn't the boosters that kept that roster together. So that's and this is where it gets, even fans are like, it can get testy. It can get very testy.
Well, and they say, where do I give? We've gotten that email from all over the country. Like, where do I give? And I don't feel comfortable answering that. I answer when I do take the time to respond. Here's where it's going, to this kind of war chest. And then here's where this is going, to that war chest.
Right, because somebody might say, well, if I'm giving to the boosters, I know that I'm giving to something in which it's going to help the facilities that these young men utilize. Yep. And if I'm giving to the Battle's End, I know that I'm helping build my roster and improve and raise the floor of talent.
Right. Facilities, endowment, scholarships, as you're trying to approach that versus.
Right. Yeah. And so you have to decide on that. You have to decide. To me, this year, do I want to ensure that we get some help at the linebacker unit, and do we improve our offensive line, or am I looking more long term about endowments and all this other stuff? So,
you know how, like, every break I
like retaining really good players.
Every TV timeout, like, somebody different, some group, any group, is like, stand up mothers today. We honor the mothers. All right, fathers, stand up, and then it could be service people, it could be whatever. At what point does it become that every commercial break is, hey, Seminole boosters, please stand up. Battle's End members, please stand up. Yeah, that's what it's going to be, I think, in the future. It's just one ad after the other for all of these outlets that you can give to the university.
The final response that
or a non-university affiliated group that has nothing to do with the university.
Thank you. The last comment that was made by old Mark Stoops was, it doesn't feel good. I told the team that the good news is that only counts as one game. We have to respond and bounce back. I'll put this one on me. We weren't prepared in any area. They beat us across the board in every area. You say that after just telling everybody they had better players because of their collective.
Don't put this on the players, even though I just told you they suck and they're not good enough.
Well, that they're not good enough because they're not as talented as the Georgia players we just faced, who were bought and paid for by the collective that's helping run Georgia. Yeah, I mean,
Coach, would you rather have somebody else here? Yeah, somebody better. That's what I just told my radio show.
It's the hardest thing in the world for a coach, because he's not crazy to do that. He's like, look, man, this guy calls in and is bitching about taking a beating.
Merv.
He wants to know why in the world we would lose 51-13. And he's telling you quite directly what we already know from watching the game. Well, this is how it happened. They're better than them at every single position on the field. That's how it happens.
Now, Merv, I don't know how it works in Paducah, but my guess is if you wanted the Waffle House a better manager, you better pay more money for that manager. Right, Merv?
Man.
Right, Merv.
That's a toughie. I mean, by definition, you're insulting your players by letting them know they're not good enough, but you're also doing what he's doing, which is asking the perturbed fan, well, hey, I don't like it as much as you do. Here you go. It's the same way. It's the same thing. Let's go. Give me more better players and we'll be all right. We won't lose 51-13.
Coach, I don't make $9 million. I don't have disposable income like you do.
Well, believe me, I'm using some of my $9 million per to buy players, guys.
Now that would be
hilarious.
He said it.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
This is Jamie McClenny of Trek Financial, co-host of Cover Your Assets here on Real Talk 93.3. Since three of the largest bank failures in U.S. history last March, the S&P 500 is up over 10% as D.C. politicians added an additional $1.5 trillion in spending after raising the debt ceiling. This rally has been extremely narrow as a handful of mega-cap stocks are responsible for over 70% of the gain on the S&P 500 year-to-date. The yield on the 10-year Treasury has been below the 3-month rate for over 200 trading days, the longest streak in 6 decades. As one economist quipped, ignore these signals at your own risk. Managing downside risk is one of the biggest challenges that you will face in retirement, but a clearly defined risk management protocol can help to mitigate large drawdowns in your retirement nest egg. If you're concerned about where all of this might be headed, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule an office visit to discover the risk in your current portfolio.
Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
This is an urgent alert for all radio listeners. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is inviting you to participate in a rare opportunity to put a brand new hot spring spa in your yard and make your hot tub dreams come true. From October 13th through October 23rd, all hot spring spas will be available for 0% interest financing for 60 months. For 10 days only, this is a rare opportunity available only at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road. There are over 50 hot tubs in stock right now in their 12,000 square foot showroom. And from October 13th through the 23rd, you can pick your dream spa and take it home with 0% financing for 60 months. No extensions will be made on this offer. This is it for 10 days only. Take advantage of this incredibly hot offer from Hot Spring Spas from October 13th to October 23rd at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road, just off Capitol Circle Northeast.
I'm Franklin, and I've been a Paul's Termite technician for well over 10 years. Working for a great company like Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a blessing for my family and myself. I get tremendous satisfaction knowing that the work I do helps protect most people's biggest investment, their homes, the place where they raise their families and build lifelong relationships. Paul's is a company that stands behind their commitments to customers and employees, and that makes me proud to represent them.
I'm Jay. Having the privilege to work with people like Franklin and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Him for all that he does on a consistent basis. Contributing to Florida State's efforts to put their best foot forward, and then also doing the same for the Jeff Cameron Show. Thank you, C-Chan. He writes, give to them all, plus Warchant. And then from there, I saw where some folks thought that it would be red velvet cake. And it reminded me that my stance on cake is correct, and that is that cake sucks.
Once a year. You can have a piece once a year, and then it reminds you. Like the first bite, okay. Second bite, all right, I'm done.
Cake's garbage. Eat a pie or ice cream or some other dessert.
A brownie.
Brownies are solid.
Mm-hmm.
There are cakes that are able to avoid the label of suck.
Chocolate chip cake. It's just a giant chocolate chip cookie. That's Director Matthews' favorite.
Yeah. I think you can have German chocolate cake, like the chocolate on top of the chocolate.
German chocolate?
Yeah, I like the German chocolate cake. Yeah. I can do that. Like more chocolate mixed with some chocolate. It's a good time. But there's not too many cakes that you're going to be like, oh, can't wait. Yeah, cheesecake, if you really want to call that cake. And you know why you like cheesecake? Because it's more like a pie.
We had in my family, going from the borderline destitute days of Bay Ridge in Brooklyn, New York, something called a sheet cake, which is basically you get the basic bottom barrel stovetop yellow cake, thin dressing in a sheet pan.
That's ass.
And then you just cover it in chocolate frosting. And it ends up being okay because of the chocolate frosting.
Yeah, you might as well just eat the frosting.
That is largely correct.
Yeah. Just eat the frosting because that yellow
it's a
cake
tradition
is garbage.
handed down from scrapping for the nickel days to go to the 5 and dime in Bay Ridge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too many. And then if you just have a classic cake with the silly white icing and the sprinkles and all, that's just what are we doing? No. Punt that thing. Somebody kick that cake into the woods.
Give your boy a sugar cookie, and we're done. No sprinkles. I want the plain sugar cookies.
Almost all ice cream's good, however. Almost all. Almost all. Now, you have issues with your stomach, but
I'll go with gelato. I'll take a little gelato. A little Italian ice.
I like Italian ices.
Bottle of red.
Back in the day, by the way, right before football practice, the guy would come by with the Italian ices, and you had to run out there to get them really quick before practice started if you wanted.
So if I got from the cart, the blueberry was the best.
You never get it's hard. It's gone.
If it's in the freezer aisle, no chance.
Yeah.
Blueberry is terrible. You want the cherry or the lemon. Those are your two go-tos.
You know, the ice cream cookie cake is really good too, though. It's like it's ice cream. It's with the it's delicious.
The Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, it's really good. That's different because it's not cake. It's ice cream with chocolate stuff inside.
I think Mike should get a cake with somebody bending a knee. You could get like a knight, But then you put a Super Mario head on him. It's like, here you go. Happy birthday, buddy.
Do you think, by the way, Saturday's game is going to be us slinging it around the lot? Because I know you're doing a deep dive into Syracuse. You always do for Third and Lang, and we'll look at various things. But I have a feeling from what I've seen of Syracuse that they're going to require us to throw it, even though I like that we're developing and pushing forward with the run game. I think they're going to make us throw it a little bit.
Yeah, so part of the deep dive, too, recorded a video this morning with Dominic Robinson, who's back on board.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little advanced notice for the folks that listen
for
to
video
the show.
purposes to break down certain things, yeah.
He's got the 22. So you're looking at wide copy, tight copy, and he's giving you his reasons why he believes X, Y, and Z. And, we're talking about, it's a very evidence-based program, which I like.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the running game. And so he's got 4 or 5 clips from Clemson, not so great, but he explains why. 4 or 5 clips from Virginia Tech, much better, explains why. And the conclusion, I'll let everybody else make, but my personal conclusion is, I wonder how much better we really are. I wonder if that 7.5 yards a carry that Virginia Tech gave up to Rutgers is more the story than us necessarily improving. And Syracuse could go a long way in proving which it actually is.
Yeah, and I didn't ignore the fact, and we didn't in the pregame show, that we really were in a real good position heading into that game to have success on the ground because everybody else had, including Marshall and Rutgers. And we gave the numbers on Marshall and Rutgers doing whatever they wanted on the ground to Virginia Tech. So it would have been alarming had you not had at least a couple of big runs in this game. And you ended up having more than a couple. And, of course, obviously you had one guy rush for 200 yards on the back of 2 big-time carries, but still 200 yards. Yeah.
What's interesting is when you see it from that angle, you can see it on television somewhat, but the depth just isn't the same. And you know that.
The all-22 is where it's at. It's so much better.
The perimeter blocking, tight ends, even though it's not been great at times, tight ends and receivers is doing much better, largely speaking, than the line itself. And so what do you do with that? And the other thing is you can see, and D-Rob says this is my opinion, it says everybody's so scared to death of counter that they're selling out to stop it. They're selling out to stop
Well, they
counter.
watched us just wear people out with
They're
it last
so
year.
scared of counter. And one thing he said, I think this is off camera, but again, it's a good insight, that we're not even that successful with it this year, which we all know. We all can see with our own
We
eyes.
don't really try to run it all that often,
But
that counter
it's a lot less.
specifically.
But
Yeah.
then a lot of our passing concepts are off of a counter base, and they still work because teams are scared to death
But
of
that
counter.
will go away. That will go away. The teams will start to say, well, they actually don't have much success running counter, so we're going to stop giving this so much respect. So,
Agreed.
yeah, but that's why when we talk about things to work on and areas to improve and things that you're going to add sort of addendums to what it is you do, and it's fun to watch Mike and Alex work together on this front. Surely they see it. I mean, they're in there watching the same film, talk that, obviously that Dominic Robinson's looking at. I mean, they see that's the film they're looking at. They know what's not working and why. They know what teams are doing. I want to see what they come up with in order to combat that.
Well, part of the problem is one of your games you got the flu, right? Another game you're playing Clemson.
Right. So
And then-
2 of the games that you failed miserably to run the ball, there are plausible explanations.
And then let's just argue, for the sake of arguing, that if you're healthy, Robert Scott and Bless Harris are your 2 tackles. So in the most recent game, maybe your 2 backup tackles are your 2 starters. So there are always these qualifiers that you have to make as they're trying to explore what they can and cannot do. Syracuse is so multiple, though, that this is another outlier. You're not going to see a defense that attacks you in this particular way.
They're still primarily running their 3-3-5, right? I mean, that's what,
subject to review.
Yeah, but it's pretty much what they. I mean, and I'm not in love with that defensive scheme, but
although they did us a lot of favors last year, they did not want to be there though.
Mm-mm.
They were ready to hop in a wrong gap and just let us go.
Yeah, that's for sure. I do think that if you get, I mean, sometimes we can overanalyze aspects of this run game that aren't working because at the end of the day, having your 2 starting tackles be healthy would go a long way in changing the outcome of yards per play on those carries. I mean, we haven't played in a game yet where everybody was right.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that counter works, but it means that
Right.
the running game works because, the guard matters a lot in counter, especially the way we run it. That's your lead guy. You're reading off of what the guard does. And if Casey's not having a good go at it or Meach is getting blown up by the first man in, it's a problem.
But again, I would point to one thing again, and this is not to take shots at these kids because they've helped us. But think about what you just said. I mean, Meach is playing his 6th year of college football for a reason.
Yeah.
Roddick was available for a reason. That's true of all these guys we've brought in. They're available for a reason. So it's
the larger concern that I had with Casey in this game is you saw communication with Mo a couple of times where a guy just is allowed to free pass. It reminds me of, 2014. There was a game against Clemson where we had a center in that game, and you're like, wow, Ole.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily the center's fault. You're supposed to have some help. There's a miscommunication in the A gap, Jeff, and you're wondering who is to blame because whoever it is, we can't have that. And that's the issue that to me is a little bit more scary because pass pro had been pretty good early on. And with Syracuse multiple front, you're going to have to really tighten that up or else there's going to be a free rusher that gets to hit Jordan.
Yeah, the good news is they utilized Jordan in the run game last week early and often, got him going. We really should probably talk about that more. That's an aspect that will help free up the rest of the run game. I think they wanted to show that. It was no accident that they came out doing that. He was very aggressive in the run game in that first quarter. It's 22-0 just like that. You're doing whatever you want to do. And I'll maintain that you are going to blow that team out to the tune of 60-7 or something thereabouts if they don't call the roughing the passer penalty, which is not roughing the passer, and that interception stands. At that point, you have the ball. It's 22-0. You're probably going to go down and score and make that 29-0, and you can call it a day. Katie barred the door at that point. Virginia Tech's going to quit. It's 29-0 in the first half. That is it. Instead, it keeps a drive alive. It keeps Virginia Tech in the game mentally. They stick around. Next thing you know, they score. Next thing you know, it gets a little weird. You get a couple of terrible calls. Norvell's losing his mind. You start the second half with an opening kickoff to the house. Now, all of a sudden, there's the consternation and the wringing of the hands of which we speak. It's 22-17 against a terrible Virginia Tech team.
He's in the crouch again.
That's the tell. I've told you that. And it's 22-17, and you're going, are we really doing this? Now, thankfully, it is fair to point out, and it's right to point out that they responded very well in that moment. Buttoned up, went back out, executed, got the long run, touchdown. I would argue that pretty much ended it. You ended up getting a stop, then you go down and you score again, and now we can call it a day. You get the long run, but that's something they didn't do against Boston College. So thankfully they did answer when things got real ugly there for a minute.
With the run game.
Yeah, with the run game. So, but I think it should carry over. The healthier you get, I do think that not having your starting five on the offensive line has led to these wild inconsistencies, along with some of the other things we're pointing out. And so it's funny, I saw somebody say, well, we're undefeated and we're in the top four, so you have to fill airtime somehow. No, this is a conversation we'd have no matter what, because being 5-0 is not the goal. Winning the national championship is the goal. Winning the conference title is certainly the goal if you have a little bit lesser of a bar that you're trying to reach. And being 5-0 and blasting Virginia Tech is not where you stop talking about the things they can do better in order to win and reach and obtain those goals. So for Florida State, it's obvious if they don't get better in those areas, they'll come across a team that can do something about it and exploit it. And that's why it's not really an argumentative thing as much as it is exciting to see what subtle changes they make from a schematic standpoint, how much healthier can they get and how soon, and what does that do in terms of changing play calling and success rate. So these are all things we monitor the rest of the way because, unfortunately, Syracuse is what they are, a team that has lost a couple in a row that are 17.5-point underdogs coming in here and don't seem likely to give Florida State that great a test. We know we can't ignore them. We know that you're capable, obviously, see Boston College, of losing to anybody if you're not real careful or certainly be in a game. So what you have now is this wonderful little run, and we'll see if Duke has their quarterback back. But if they don't, that's another game where you can like, okay, well, good. Before you have to ratchet it back up. When you play Miami, they'll be out for blood, obviously. It's a rivalry game, and they've got to be furious. Hopefully by the time we play them, they've quit. They're on quit watch now. We'll see what happens. But obviously, I would also argue just from a personnel standpoint, you'll have to go down to Gainesville and be buttoned up and right. And then obviously the ACC championship game, which if we're moving towards where I think we're moving towards, is either going to be North Carolina or Louisville. I would lean towards North Carolina at this point, which could be very problematic because they have a first-round draft pick at quarterback who will pick you apart if you're not right in coverage. So,
and the receiver is magically eligible now, a star at that.
Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
2 people were critically injured and 1 person was seriously injured after a 2-car crash in Calhoun County Saturday. Around 3:20 p.m., a sedan was heading north on State Road 69, north of County Road 69A, and a pickup truck pulling a 32-foot boat on a trailer was behind the sedan. The sedan slowed and tried to make a U-turn, and the pickup truck swerved to avoid hitting the car. The front of the pickup truck hit the car, the truck flipped over, and the boat came off the trailer. The road was shut down for a few hours following the crash. A new urgent care center is set to open this fall on West Tennessee Tennessee Street to expand access to healthcare services to college students, Frenchtown residents, and the West Tallahassee community. The corner of West Tennessee Street and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard will replace a former optometry office. The new center will help to address the increasing patient demand for immediate healthcare services in Leon County. TMH also announced plans to open an urgent care center in Crawfordville by summer 2024. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered rain showers likely this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 73, winds out of the northeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Overcast skies again tonight. Scattered thunderstorms likely. Lows level off around 66. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. 74. Overcast skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 71.
Warning. The following Zaxby's ad may contain messaging upsetting to Philadelphians. Zaxby's took the iconic Philly sandwich, the quote-unquote perfect Philly sandwich, and made it perfecter by putting fried chicken on it. That's right, fried chicken on a Philly. And while Philadelphia might find it offensive, you can find it at your local Zaxby's. Finally, the Philly done right. Woo, sausage! Zaxby's.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Had not been swept once this year. Not once.
Until
162 games and did not get swept tells you a lot about a team who wins over 100 games, obviously. But that's how you get to 100-plus wins, is not getting swept at all. But that is the ultimate cruel joke for baseball. And baseball does it all the time. They're forever doing it. It's just mean.
That's why you just get in. Just get in and see what happens.
And I mean, I think it gets easier a little bit over time when you're like, okay, well, we're really, really young and have, Rushman and Henderson and all these studs that are just babies, basically just starting their careers. But God, dog, it's a staggering disappointment. And I'm not doing it to rub salt in the wound. I've been on the wrong end of a team that won 98 games and got told to have a good day. It's brutal.
I've been to the World Series and had a lead in 4 games with 5 or fewer outs to get and won just one of those games. Lost the series in 5.
Now, what's interesting?
It was the World Series.
Yeah, I know. It's yes. Until 1969, the Orioles, by having the best record in the American League, would have gone directly to the World Series. From 1969 to 1993, the Orioles, by virtue of the 101 wins that they had, would have gone automatically to the American League Championship Series. So because it's changed, now it's different. You win all those regular season games and you're still on edge because the format is changed. And So if you want to go all the way back, you could go 1969 to 1993, and that is a long stretch of time where you wouldn't have had to worry about any of this by virtue of the great season you had. And now nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. And it's a lot of the people who, look, you got to buy, you get swept. Other people have, they've lost after waiting. A lot of people, if the Braves don't make that comeback the other night, they're on the cusp of getting swept. And that was an incredible game and an incredible ending, much to the dismay of Director Matthew, of course, but it was an amazing thing to watch. And as somebody who didn't have a dog in the fight, I was just enjoying that game. But man, I was reminded of that too. Like, get a great start from our starting pitcher, kind of dominates. It's 4-0.
Well, and it also goes to show you that, if you're not a Mets fan and you're a fan of any other franchise, just hang in there for a little longer. Something might turn. For us, probably won't. But everybody is racing to social media and saying the Braves are never going to score a run again. Boy, this is the biggest colossal disappointment in postseason history.
Well, that's just dumb. I mean, why would
home run records falling left and right, and they can't score a run, and then in a matter of 8 minutes, it's fixed. Like that's baseball too. It goes the other way too.
And here's more of baseball. As of right now, the 5 teams that won 92 or more games are 1-10 in the postseason.
Oh, man.
They're 1-10, and the 1 is the Braves comeback, or they'd be 0-11. And that is really, really hard to stomach. And it's why you have to look at regular season baseball and postseason baseball as very different entities. They're playing the same game, but the results have a much greater impact than they do over the span of 162 games.
That's why it's okay to weep if you win the World Series. It's okay. It's okay. It's very hard to do.
I remember saying to you that I like regular season baseball more than postseason baseball because of the pacing, because of the consistency, because of not every game, not every pitch is there a sense of urgency, and that seems to fit what baseball is. Baseball is not football. You shouldn't feel that same dramatic intensity around every turn that you do in such a truncated season, such as football. And, I grew up in an era where college football was a 10-game season. So you really had the idea that everything mattered greatly every Saturday. It was this is it. But over 162 games, you can go to the game with your best friend and have a long conversation about how they're doing in between pitches. Because the result of that game isn't really going to matter all that much, not that singular game. And that is not true of the postseason. And that's why the regular season is unto itself and the postseason is too. And you have to go in with a different mindset to watch. The game is still the same. The rules are still the same. But each result is obviously dramatically impactful. And it's fascinating to see the sport transition in that way. Now, you could say, well, every postseason, Jeff, a team that gets beat is eliminated. What do you mean? But football, there's an inherent intensity to football all the time. It doesn't change. It just stays.
And baseball is such a random game that, again, I think we've gotten into a place where we embrace analytics so much or win probability so much that we feel like if you get to 51, it's a guarantee. Like, that's not how probability works. That's just that's what the house gets on a roulette game. It doesn't guarantee a thing. And so when a baseball game that could have millions of outcomes is played, it's play don't care who makes it, game don't care what the probability is. Baseball will just screw you because that is what the probability suggests it
Well,
can
I think
do.
it's the hardest part about being a diehard baseball fan and loving a team, and that's why you do really appreciate if they win the World Series. Like, you're a Braves fan right now, you could lose this series, and you could lose this series. You might win it as well, but you're not as concerned because you just won a World Series a few years ago. So it's like, okay, you got it. You hold on to it for dear life. Hey, listen, by the way, this is not just an anomaly that the 92-plus win teams are 1-10. If you go back last year in the National League, the 4 teams that won 92 games or more, they were 3-10. It's ridiculous. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Taxes are too high. Spending is too high. Why did Matt Gaetz join Nancy Pelosi, AOC, and over 200 Democrats in killing the Republican plan to cut Washington spending and strengthen the border? because Matt Gaetz would rather promote himself than protect taxpayers from runaway government spending. Conservative Republicans had a deal to cut spending by 8% and restore Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. The plan would have protected taxpayers and our borders. But Matt Gaetz killed it. Matt Gaetz spends too much time chasing TV cameras and not enough time working together with conservatives to rein in Washington spending. Call Matt Gaetz at 850-479-1183 and tell him to stop voting with Democrats and start siding with Florida taxpayers. Paid for by Americans for Tax Reform. Learn more. Visit atr.org/cut spending.
Services, comforts to call away. 222-7722. AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too. 222-7722. Parker Services, comforts to call away. Parker Services, comforts to call away.
Hurricane season is here, and now is the time to make a move to keep your home comfortable, even if the power gets knocked out, with a home backup generator. Parker Services is proud to announce that they now sell and install whole home generators, and with financing options, they can be surprisingly affordable. Never worry about the loss of power again. Invest in your family's peace of mind with a home generator from Parker Services. Give them a call today for a free quote.
Parker Services, comforts to call away.
CMC 050334.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Don't go anywhere. Your chance to win $1,000 is coming up next on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Atlanta Braves earned a victory in Game 2 of the NLDS to even up the series at one game each. Game 3 coming up on Wednesday at Citizens Bank Park. Phillies $1.22 favorite. Braves plus 102. 9 under the total. Tampa Bay Lightning opened the season in Amalie Arena today. $1.60 favorite against Nashville plus 140. 6.5 over the total. Lightning 20-1 to win the Stanley Cup. 8-1 to win the Metro Division. And minus 145 to make the playoffs. College football Saturday. Florida 2-point underdog at South Carolina. Florida State laying 18 at home against Syracuse. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Hustle up. We've got 8 more floors to go before lunch. Sarusha's window washing business is reaching new heights.
Wipe, and let's roll.
They need more certified cleaners to keep online reviews crystal clear.
Team, I know we're hustling, but watch for streaks. Candace, can you give me a hand over here?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Explore 50% off everything for a limited time. Now through October 9th at Banana Republic Factory. Save on elevated fall essentials, polished occasion wear, and more. Only at your nearest Banana Republic Factory store.
Juice Reel, the betting intelligence tool that's making better bettors. Open the App Store and get your hands on Juice Reel. Juice, R-E-E-L. Juice Reel. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945.
When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
This is Tyler from Bear No Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere.
Save big time in the new year and get $1,200 off select new units.
Online at BaranoAC.com.
Keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
It's time to splash into cash with Swain Pools and Spas. Here's your next keyword.
Bills. B-I-L-L-S. Bills. B-I-L-L-S. Bills.
Text that keyword now to 508-777-1000. That's 508-777-1000 for your chance to win $1,000. Sponsored by Swain Pools and Spas.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, right? Is that what we're hearing? Monday? So we don't get Saturday's goodness. Saturday's actually the hottest of the days of the weekend, right?
It's going to be just fine in Hotel Indigo, though, because our
You're
pregame
damn
show
right.
is at 10 a.m.
Breezy.
And I
Breezy
believe
up there.
it's going to be in the lower to mid 70s at that point.
I had a mimosa last week at the Hotel Indigo when we were doing the pregame show.
How was the mimosa?
It was delicious. Just one. Just had the one.
Really?
Well, I had a second one right at the very end.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for it. They just brought it.
You never do.
They just brought it up. So I can't be blamed for that. My point is I didn't.
No, I think that is the play on Saturday. You don't want to set up the whole tailgate. You want to go enjoy the game and then get to you could set up the tailgate after. Like that's one of the days to stay in the lots, enjoy the evening and watch the games, or go find your local watering hole like the Corner Pocket. So the pregame, just come up to us, get you a couple mimosas, a Bloody Mary, and then you're on your way. Like that's how you start your day for a nooner.
You know what I think is weird? I'll say this. I think tailgating has changed quite a bit. Now, I noticed that when I walk through the intramural lots there, where the tailgates, where everybody comes in there.
The C. Yes.
Yeah, the C, yeah. So when I go through there, they do it right. Now, we don't unless we're on the road and we're devoid of responsibility. There aren't many opportunities for us to tailgate. And that's fine. It comes with the job. It's whatever. I mean,
job's worth it.
That's very much so. But it doesn't mean I don't miss tailgating. Doesn't mean I don't. We had a great time when we tailgated in that dump of a town, South Bend.
Oh, yeah.
It was snow on the ground, tents everywhere. You were feeling terrible, but I had a great time.
I powered through. It was an open bar soiree, as I recall.
It was awesome.
I needed that.
But everybody had a good time, and I was reminded of how much I enjoy that in tailgating. Here's my point. Back in the day, long before I ever worked in the field of media and covering this team and doing all the things that we're so fortunate to do now, I obviously tailgated for years and years and years. Now, as a young man with my dad, he would take me to the games and whatever. He had his friends, and they would all be hanging out, and I'd throw the football and do the things the kids do at the tailgate, right? And then later on in college, you get together, and my dad still came up, and me and all my buddies, roommates, and we'd go over there and have some pops with him and hang out, throw the football, watch other games. But the thing I always enjoyed most is the hanging out afterwards, because you can't go anywhere. There's a million cars. Where are you going? And I just don't see enough people hanging out after games anymore. You got to set up shop, baby. Get you a portable big screen, the power, everything you need. Just chill out. Start the grilling process. Watch the other games together outdoors. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's the sharing of what did you see?
Right. Couldn't wait to get back to the tailgate site to say, well, usually if it was a big win over a big team, you're like, here we go. Everybody hugs. We talk about this play and that play and what you thought and what you're upset by and all that. And then obviously you could commiserate if it was a loss. But there was that fellowship. Everybody gets together, hangs out, has a good time. And then we are on to the next, and we talk about, okay, so what time are you going to get here next week? And we're going to do this, this, and that, right? But for much of my life, the ability to have a big screen and to be able to get it to and fro easily didn't exist. Nowadays, a 90-inch television, 80-inch television, it weighs 6 pounds. It's unbelievable. You carry it under your arm. It's nuts. And so when I see that kind of setup, but because that came along late and I was already working in media, I think, it would have been better. It would have been so much better. Not enough people take advantage of that.
Oh, agreed. It's the trading of the notes. That's a sacred thing. Like if you've got that friend that you call or calls you after a big game in whatever sport, and you guys go through your thoughts of first period, second. I think texting has kind of ruined that too, a little bit, because you share your notes during the game, and then there's not a whole lot to recap because you said what you're going to say. Before texting, every thought that enters your mind during a game, which too many people do, you could just save up what you wanted to say. You grab a beer, you crank some tunes, or you have another football game on or another game on. See, like postseason hockey is my favorite thing to have a call about after. And what about this? Yeah, what about it? What was that? I love those moments.
By the way, go Bolts. Nice win yesterday.
That was.
Nice
great
win,
start.
And terrible.
Good finish.
Yeah, and then great ending. Yeah. 2 goals in 42 seconds.
I think that's why post-game shows are fun too. Because you're just trading notes. It's like, okay, what did you see? We're going to know more on Monday when we watch it again.
Right.
What did you see?
What did you see? Yeah. Well, I'm just noting that there are some people in this fan base that do it right, but Florida State is a long ways away from having the kind of grandiose tailgates that I envision. And it's just we're so young. We just don't have generational passing on of the notes, Tom. We just don't have it.
We have an area, though, like the IM Fields, like Hotel Indigo, of course, to make it work at a level that's better than some of the blue bloods that I've seen.
Yeah.
The campuses are disjointed, or the cars aren't allowed close enough to the stadium itself. And so, yeah, there's a value to walking through something, but it feels like art in the park here at Monroe more than it does a proper tailgate.
Some places.
Some places.
I've been to some others that I'm like, whoa. This is where it's at.
Sure.
This is much different. This is the way it should be. Yeah, obviously, we're far cry better than somewhere like, say, Boston College, where they discourage it. They don't want the fine folks in Newton, or Snooton as it's known, to have their feathers ruffled.
They'll mace you.
Look at these riffraff. Look at these riffraff rolling on in here, trying to have their booze. They're fun. We're not doing any of it. Tailgate early for Syracuse. And these are the days where Tom used to have to get up at 6 a.m. after a tough night in his early 20s and ride over there with a station van.
4:30. Had to be in the parking lot before 6. 4:30.
And that's where you saw your boy Blue.
Yeah.
Who's no doubt dead.
Yeah. He was awesome.
He's at a tailgate in the sky, buddy. He's done. But I'll say you got
Do you
to
think
see
so?
I think so.
I think he made it.
I want to return to something I never talk about, which is recruiting. We have an expert on the staff that does recruiting, and he has an aide on his side now in the form of Matt Lasser. And I was reading Matt's article, and I saw where LJ McCrae said about his visit to FSU, the official visit to FSU, quote, a little better than I expected. And this kind of fits into the conversation we're having. What kind of low expectations did LJ McCrae have that is the quote out of his mouth after this visit?
Well, what's he talking about, though?
He goes on to say it was great. I really enjoyed it. Better than I expected. A little better than I expected. Explaining that the Noles are legitimate contenders in his recruitment. They've always been up there. I definitely wouldn't have taken an official visit if I wasn't serious about it. So it was just getting up here and seeing it one last time before I make a decision. Come on, man. We need this kid.
I was hoping there'd be a quote there about I wasn't expecting all the love that they showed me, because love is a great word in the recruiting process. When a kid wants to be shown love and he gets up to a campus and he says, wow, they show you a lot of love at this institution.
He's 6'6", nearly 300 pounds.
He is a mean. Okay.
He's a monster.
I did the weekend preview last week with Michael, and we're rolling his senior film. And I know it's highlight film, but you know, like I do, that there are some pieces of film that stand out different than the others. Not all highlight reels are created equal.
Correct.
Sometimes you got a 6'5" kid that's playing a bunch of private school children who are 5'9" and slow.
And you're throwing him through the roof. Yes.
Yes. This dude is mean, and he could play different positions inside or out, but the mean streak, the evil, he would embrace the devil being at the 50-yard line before a game.
As one should.
With his playing style. He would extend that onto
Do we
the field.
think, when you talked with Michael, the thought, I mean, most people don't think we're getting this kid.
There's work to be done.
There's a fear that Florida is way in the lead and George is right behind him.
That is a fear, but Florida State has entered the conversation. So I think whatever messaging needed to be relayed on this particular visit has been relayed.
I think the Battle's End was doing some work, perhaps.
That's your inference from what I said.
I'm just saying some things. I don't know if that's true or not. I know this. John Papuchis needs it. A lot of second-place finishes for Papuchis in the recruiting trail.
We all need it.
I'm looking at you, John Papuchis. Just gave up a 99-yard kick return, didn't you? And now we're out here rolling in second on the regular in the recruiting world. 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you, Papu. Let's get it rolling.
Papu?
It rhymed better. You get nicknames like that when you're second fiddle and not closing the deal on dudes. I still haven't forgiven the Auburn situation.
That felt like an overpay.
Got to do better.
I'll say it.
Got to do better.
Well, or do you reset your own market?
At some point, you can't continue to finish second in recruiting.
But do you reset your own market in your locker room?
No, but I mean, second, Tom. Tired of it. A whole lot of not getting guys coming this close. Let's go.
What are you saying? That we have unlimited funds?
I'm not saying we have unlimited funds. We're highly competitive in this space, Tom. You know that. And what I'm trying to tell you is that I believe that John Papuchis has to do a better job. I like that phrasing, so I use it.
Competitive in this space.
Yes, I like that phrasing.
That's a great description of your radio career. You are highly competitive
in this space.
In this space.
Yeah. Well, I'm also my own singular observation is that I'm tired of watching guys not sign that he's recruiting, that he's the primary on. So this is going to have to do better. I'm tired of it. There's nothing wrong with saying that I want this program to be operating at max efficiency. We're not when you don't get guys like this. You got to get some of these dudes.
Tough love. Cameron's found a new target.
Well, he brought it on himself. He wrought this love with that 99-yard kickoff return. I was like, okay, so I was already looking at you. And now we're just going to be out. We practice special teams an hour a day, every day.
That we do.
Good God. It's excessive. At some point, man, diminishing returns, clearly.
Is it critical to get Virginia Tech to start at their 18 instead of their 25? That's my question.
You just kick it out of the back of the end zone.
Is it critical? Like, does that really make a difference with their talent?
Well, I mean, in all seriousness, and we're having fun with this a little bit. I mean, I
don't know if you are.
Right. No, I'm getting a little perturbed for real. I didn't bring it up for no reason. But I would say that now, because we're entering into the conversation of the heavy hitters, you're playing with the big boys now. Now, you've done a good job of getting to a place where you could do that. You're winning enough games now where we warrant interest in a player of this caliber. LJ McCrae is not looking at Florida State a year and a half ago in any way, shape, or form. And if he were, we'd be lying to ourselves about the level of interest, because it would be game over. So Florida State now has a shot in these instances, but you have to start closing kids like this to take the very next step. And you don't want to constantly rely on transfer portal, and you got to get some of these kinds of kids. And we know the momentum that it creates, and more 5-stars see that, and then they want to be a part of that. We see that normally with quarterbacks, right? Get a quarterback to sign, and then they create a buzz. But you got a kid here that's a beast.
You do, and at a position of dire need.
Dire need.
And so I think the powers that be, if they had to make a choice, would make sure that a guy like this makes the cut where maybe somebody else doesn't.
Sure.
But you want to say yes to everything, So the more the merrier here, the more the merrier. But it doesn't happen by accident. Mark Stoops is correct. It does not happen by accident.
No. And listen, again, I know that this is a kid that it depends on where you're looking. On3 has him as a 5-star. I believe, other outlets have him as a 4-star, but he's a
menace.
6'6", 280 kid that, listen, when you're trying to out-recruit Georgia for a kid, or in this case, Florida as well, then then you know. I mean, Georgia has been able to sign almost anybody they want, and they're coming after this kid with a vengeance to try to get him. So that tells you, what he is. Think about what Kirby's done with that defensive.
Yeah, I would trade one of the defensive backs. We've got a lot of
47 of them
in this class. I would trade one of them for this kid easily.
I would too. We're in agreement. Now make it happen, Papuchas. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is an urgent alert for all radio listeners. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is inviting you to participate in a rare opportunity to put a brand new hot spring spa in your yard and make your hot tub dreams come true. From October 13th through October 23rd, all hot spring spas will be available for 0% interest financing for 60 months. For 10 days only, this is a rare opportunity available only at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road. There are over 50 hot tubs in stock right now in their 12,000 square foot showroom. And from October 13th through the 23rd, you can pick your dream spa and take it home with 0% financing for 60 months. No extensions will be made on this offer. This is it for 10 days only. Take advantage of this incredibly hot offer from Hot Spring Spas from October 13th to October 23rd at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road, just off Capitol Circle Northeast.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, T-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks, we fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Hello, Leon County. Let's get ready to win with Ken. I'm Ken Preston. I want to be your next Leon County property appraiser. I'm driven, committed, experienced, and a dedicated community servant. I'm ready to put my experience as a former property appraiser to work to help make a difference for the people of Leon County. Let's go to work. Vote for me. Ken Preston for Leon County Property Appraiser 2024. Win with Ken. A political advertisement by Ken Preston for Leon County Property Appraiser.
I'm Robert, and I'm a general pest technician at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I have a fantastic job working for an amazing company. Every day, I take great satisfaction in knowing the work I do helps protect the health of the customers I'm honored to serve and their pets too. Many are now my friends. Paul's is a local North Florida-based company, and they are constantly teaching all of us techs about the ever-changing needs of our unique part of the world.
I'm Jay, and having the privilege to work with people like Robert and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists, providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable, expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Player prop, but I think we're going to have a hard time this weekend. The card's not nearly as juicy.
Well,
and it starts on Thursday with that silly Broncos-Chiefs game.
It's only Wednesday. You can have an epiphany or 3 overnight. Something could happen. A value can present itself.
Don't you want tomorrow night, 8:15, you kind of sit down to watch Broncos-Chiefs, and you just it's obvious in the beginning that the Chiefs have decided that they're going to put one on Denver because they don't like them.
Oh, sure. I'd like that, but I will not be logging on to Amazon Prime to watch tomorrow's game. I can't do it.
You'll be watching baseball like I will be, but I'll have the game on. I'm always watching.
I'll tell you what's elevating the experience. Again, it seems like a little difference, but the 4K, you get that 4K, it's got a little extra.
The 4K is good.
You can feel the cool air that the game is being played underneath. It's beautiful.
Chiefs minus 10.5, by the way. So in the NFL, that's a big number, obviously. But I kind of feel like just laying that 10.5 all day. The Broncos suck.
So does Thursday night football.
Typically.
I mean, it's not even just about the matchups.
Every now and then you get a good. Every now and then you get a good.
So they give you 16 for the year or 17, whatever it is. But maybe like 3 of them are good, you know? And they're always on short rest. Like the opening night Thursday is great. No problem with that. Thanksgiving Thursday. That is also great. Need it. Got to have it.
Yeah.
Gives you a little respite from the table as people are starting to get into politics. You're like, all right, I'm done. See what the Cowboys are doing in the second half. That's all good. But most of these games are bad matchups or it's a good matchup in theory, but both teams are banged up like crazy and it's a bad brand of football. They should add bye weeks for these things.
I agree with that. I can't help but get sucked into the drama that is Robert Kraft maybe having to make a decision to Lenny this thing as we were talking about on Monday. I love that. I love the idea of like looking at just bewildered, beleaguered, staring off at the moon, Bill Belichick while they're getting their ass beat 34-3 or nothing, 38-3. And I mean, every week it's just another all-time low moment. I'm a sucker for this. They've got me. It's like tabloids. I'm logging into sportspages.com and reading everything I can about whether or not he would be fired. and whether Kraft would do it. Quote, there's a school of thought that suggests Bill Belichick has earned the right to go out on his own, that the architect of the greatest dynasty in the NFL and in the NFL's history can coach in New England as long as he chooses, according to Jeff Howe. We've also learned that Robert Kraft does not subscribe to that. I'm like, yes, here we go. Fresh off the bench from South Florida there, the bench. He gets his massage. He legally flies back to New England and says, got to talk to you, Bill.
Orchids of pink slips for you, pal.
Well played. Man.
And is Belichick the architect? Is he the architect?
Yes. Remember.
Maybe the sculptor?
Well, remember this, though. And this is important because I think it often gets lost in these discussions. The first 3 of Brady's Super Bowls are because of Bill Belichick and their defense. It's not Tom Brady. Brady becomes this thing later on, and he'll get the credit for the others. But this is all Bill Belichick in the beginning.
100% agree.
Right.
But is it front office Bill or coach Bill? You know, because architect, I feel like Rich McKay might be the architect of a lot of what Tony Dungy gets credit for in Tampa. Like, McKay had more to do with assembling the team.
Yeah, and Dungy was a defensive-minded coach, and that defense became dominant. And listen, it's always everybody working together. We know that, and this is a media-driven thing where we argue back and forth about who's what, and you know, we know that. And the 2 principal characters have said as much. But because Belichick is just a curmudgeon and done nothing since Brady left, it is hilarious, and you know it has to irk him to no end. That son of a bitch. Went over to Tampa, won Super Bowl.
I won 11 games with Matt Castle.
You know he's saying that.
I've done that, by the way.
Yeah. But it has to be the most. I mean,
would have won in Cleveland too if things didn't fall apart by circumstance.
He might be right about that too.
He would have.
He would have, yeah. But he learned a lot from that in Education of a Coach. He talks about it. He learned a lot from screwing up there in Cleveland. Like he was dismissive to certain people within the organization. He shouldn't have been. It's why they were quick to tell him to have a good day. But I never thought I'd see a time where the New England Patriots under Bill Belichick would be outscored 72-3 in their last 2 games. 72-3. And they turn it over all the time, which is not what they're, Bill Belichick's teams don't turn the ball over like this. I think your boy's got 10 picks. This is ridiculous.
Which brings me to a great question. What's the higher total? The amount of points that New England gives up to their next 3 opponents, 2 of which are the Bills and the Dolphins. They play the Raiders this weekend, but the Bills and the Dolphins are on deck and in the hole.
That'll hurt your feelings if you're a Patriot fan and you look at the schedule and you're like, we got the Bills and the Dolphins back to back.
We're giving up 30 points to the Saints.
Good God, man.
Oh, no.
They might drop 100 on us.
And they would want to.
Yeah.
And they would want to.
Oh, everybody in that division, if given an opportunity, that is the ultimate analogy in the alley, falling on hard times, had a little too much, laying next to the dumpster, Jets walk by. Oh, what have we here? It seems Bill Belichick has had 1 too many tonight. Is that right, Bill?
Every kick is a letter. G. So the
Jets are like, before we get to the car, I've got to urinate. I see Bill Belichick is here leaning against the dumpster. The hatred has to run deep for Miami, Buffalo, New York. I mean, ways that are unreasonable.
Miami's hatred is specific too. At least it is for our mutual friend Chris, because Belichick got so mad that Wes Welker was so good. He's like,
he just went and stole him. He got him.
Just what does it take?
Yeah,
bring him to me, and then he became Wes Welker that we all knew. So the higher total, the amount of points that the Patriots surrender against the Raiders, Bills, and Dolphins, or the amount of Zaxby's locations here in our fine fair city of Tallahassee.
How about that? Well, we are a fortunate community. To have 57 Zaxby's available to us at any given time is really, what a blessing.
I revised my question. Higher total, the amount of Zaxby's we have in town, or the point total that the Raiders and the Bills score in the next 2 weeks?
I still think 57 might be more than those 2 teams score combined, because the Patriots aren't going to give up a ton of points to the Raiders.
The Saints.
I mean, but the Raiders aren't. Yeah.
But the Saints.
Well, that's because they kept throwing picks. Stop turning the damn ball over all the time. Like, if they just play it straight up and don't turn it over, they might get beat 17-0. You can't. This is. Oh, I keep thinking of Jim Mora because when he got so mad at Manning, my favorite part about that is that he had to add to it. Like, it wasn't enough to point out the obvious. Peyton Manning threw 26 interceptions. Okay, people forget about that, but he did. He threw 26 interceptions in a season, and Mora was furious, and that's the fame. Playoffs! That's where that came from. We're just trying to win a game. So in the middle of that rant,
this hick can't stop throwing picks.
Well, it was hilarious because he's like, you guys worried about your playoffs? And then he goes through the whole thing. We're just trying to win a game. But people forget this. It didn't stop there. He's like, we throw an interception every other series, and not just an interception. It's always a pick six. He added to it. He didn't have to bring that up. Like, he just did that to be an ass. Like, some people throw interceptions, but ours are always a pick six. So he wanted to inflict more damage in the critique. So he just added that. It'd be one thing. You know, it's like if you had a kid who just started to drive and got lost in the era before GPS, it just was constantly getting lost. It'd be one thing if you get lost, but you're always lost by 56 miles from the house. I got to take, 2.5 hours out of my day to come find your sorry ass. You'd be mad. You're like, why can't you be in the mall parking lot 15 minutes away? I can just tell you 2 streets. Here we go.
That is the problem I didn't even have.
Oh, way back in the day.
Garmin's existed by the time I was 16 years
so
old.
I tell my kid this all the time. You'll never get lost. But we all, grown-ups, kids, whatever, it was a wild adventure back in the day, Tom. You could get lost and really lost. Like, I don't know where I am. I'm going to cry. I have no idea how to get out of here. This is terrible. I'm looking for the North Star. Like, like, that was a thing. That's how I learned that one of my stepbrothers, John, was Magellan. You could drop him in the middle of a desert and he'd be like, okay, we've got to go this way. And he was always right. It was ridiculous. He had a compass in his belly. He just knew immediately. We could just be standing somewhere. I go, we have never been in this city. How the hell are we going to get home from here? Now, listen, I know maps existed and we would sit down and open up a map. What a pain in the ass. The kids will never have to do that. Opening up the map, charting the course. What about that side road right there? Does that go through?
You always had to open it one extra fold where it was uncomfortably, like it was on the dashboard over the driver's eyes.
People got legitimately lost. You'd be like, I'm lost. I am legitimately lost. And of course, the man thing was, and that's why there was a series of jokes for years that you didn't want to ask for directions. It was humiliating. And your girlfriend would go, just pull in the gas station and ask that guy where the hell we are. No. I think we're good right here. We're going to take a left on 34th. We'll be all right.
In this day and age, too, it would not have helped and even confused you more in Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, they don't have streets and avenues.
There's a Zaxby's everywhere. So that's not going to help you.
There's the Zaxby's. Great. There's another one right there.
Yeah. You called your parents. You said, I'm near the Zaxby's. Well, that doesn't help, son.
No, when I first moved to Tallahassee, I remember thinking, this is ridiculous. So we're on like Joseph Street over here by Apple Yard and Cherry. What the hell's that do for anybody? This is ridiculous. Why can't there be 7th and 33rd? And so we have a clue here, a grid where people know where the hell they're going.
I haven't thought of Apple Yard in years.
It's a sorry street.
That's a part.
It's a sorry street. Nobody's ever driven down Apple Yard and thought, this is lovely. They've thought, look at this piece of crap next to this junior college and that sorry ass drive-through. This is awful.
You're not wrong.
I'm just Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The driver of a car was seriously injured after
Hey
crashing.
guys, our next partner is AG1, the daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it quite literally every single day. I began using AG1 because I'll be honest with you, I don't like to take a bunch of pills and vitamins, and I just wanted something that tastes great, was quick, and easy to remember. So I do it. I do it every morning when I wake up. I certainly have it right after my coffee and before I work out. And I will tell you this too, it is a simple, effective investment for your health. You can try AG1 and get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/JCS. Again, that's all you got to do is go to drinkag1.com/JCS. That's drinkag1.com/JCS. Check it out. It's delicious. It's quick. It's easy. It's proven. Vitamins, probiotics, whole food source nutrients. Start your day with it. You'll feel better. I promise.
It's likely this afternoon, otherwise overcast skies. Highs level off around 73, winds out of the northeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected tonight. Scattered thunderstorms likely. Lows around 66. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 74. Overcast skies. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 71.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
And I already know that, so save your time in the comments. But the lead is the NFL's field fight is only just beginning. Players are now demanding that all fields be grass. Yes, good, agreed. Across the board, let's go.
This would be tremendous. I just wonder, how do you pull it off in domes and old school indoor facilities?
There aren't too many of those left. How many old school indoor facilities are there?
You've got the Superdome.
And that's a dump.
It is.
And they needed to tear it down ages ago. Let's go.
But the other thing is, all right, Arizona has that track that they brag about.
But it's
cool.
awesome. They bring it in and out. All right. Most places that did have protection from the elements have a retractable roof now.
Right. But most that are built, like, for example, Los Angeles. I'm sure you could grow it in Los Angeles, no problem.
That is real grass, is it not?
I don't think it is. I think it's turf.
I'll have to look it up.
Atlanta, another example. Like, where are you going to roll that grass out to? You know?
They should have never made it so that it wasn't grass. What are we doing? You spent all that money on Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is overrated as hell, and you don't have grass? What are we doing? Stop it. Stop it. Football should always be played on grass. And I said I bring it back to Leon County. Gene Cox, Leon, Childs, all of them. They're all turf now. Everything, everywhere you go, turf, because they want to save money. That turf sucks, all of it. Grass. You can't grow grass in Florida. You can't grow grass. What are we doing? What are we doing?
There's another one. All right, Minnesota and Detroit. Like, what do you do there?
Well, Minnesota Stadium's brand new. You went to Minnesota. That's not. They don't have grass. No. They don't have a retractable.
No. I mean, they've got giant window doors.
Yeah,
kind of the way you enter
might,
Jerry's World.
I might cut you a pass in Minneapolis, for Christ's sakes. I mean, you're basically playing in Alaska. I might give you a shot there. And okay, Detroit, no, grow grass. Get it together. Get it together. I've always hated that dome.
Seattle's turf, and that's outdoors. The Meadowlands in New York.
Dump. Get it together.
Cincinnati's not grass, is it? I don't think so. I think that's turf too.
Silliness. No reason. Let's go. Grass across the board. We've got the technology. We have the means. They make $1 trillion every year, every team.
Green Bay finds a way.
That's right. Green Bay finds a way. It's a miracle. Cleveland.
And they just get so many things right.
Cleveland's on grass, and it turns into a muddy mess at the end of the year, but that's the way it should be.
Kansas City.
That's the way it should be.
Grass.
It should all be grass. So I'm glad. I'm glad that they're taking up this fight. Let's go. Make it happen. Not that you're going to completely avoid injuries. Football's a dangerous game. People get hurt. I got it. But I hate the turf. I hate it. And I've been saying it for a long time. I just want somebody to get on with it getting here. They're going to make it happen. They should do it. There are places that don't have, like, why would you not have grass in Atlanta? It's Atlanta. There's no excuse. That should be open air, the whole deal.
Open air? I don't know.
Retractable. Hey, Atlanta this time of year is getting nice.
Yes.
It's beautiful to go to a game. 62 for a high, 40 for a low. What are we doing in this dome? Not enjoying the weather. That's what we're doing. We should be watching this grass, open air, enjoying all of this.
The Bears still have grass.
Yes. Always have.
It's brown.
Well, not always. They did switch briefly. That's true. A lot of places, we forget this all the time. I have to rack my brain because I remember, obviously, I bring it up all the time. I remember Emmitt Smith played his whole career on AstroTurf in Florida, which was just the dumbest thing in the world. People chase whatever's new. And so at the time, stadiums all over the country started going to turf. And I was like, what are we doing?
Related question. Our field looks impeccable.
It's awesome.
Because they did that project where they dredged up all the old oils.
They did a really good job.
Last year.
Yeah, our field does look awesome.
They said it moved down almost a foot because of all the, they were layering it.
They found a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I'm sure they did. That's what they want you to believe. What do you think of the end zones? Green with the spray paint of the Florida State. It's green, no garnet, no white, and it just has our font. It looks very much like
I didn't think
Camping World Stadium.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it over the weekend. I really loved what a number of years back when we went to the old-timey goalposts again, like everybody else started to do. Instead of just the singular, we've got the two.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the supports are on the outside.
I think that's because people,
but it's also
less
just the
likely
way
for people to bring them down.
It's just also the way it should be. It just looks awesome that way. I'm also a fan of like just the stripes, the angled, like just do that too. Ours should be garnet and gold.
There you go. Yeah, Pittsburgh does that.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Pittsburgh's grass.
Pittsburgh is grass.
Pittsburgh is grass. What
Philly is not. Philly is turf.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Philly's turf, isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, am I confusing it with the vet being
the old vet
turf?
it was rock. It was
rock ass salad.
Phrasing, Cameron.
No, it's Bermuda grass. Okay, Philly. They got it right at the
They did get it right.
link.
They changed it up. It's been a number of years since they've been there, Tom. It's funny what sticks in your head.
Well, when you don't win a playoff game for about 18 years, you forget about all these other venues. I remember the one we closed down, though.
Yeah, the vet was dangerous. I mean, it was a dangerous field, and the fans were dangerous. Everything about it was dangerous.
That's interesting. I'm surprised that it still is the fan part. You see the videos of them, like when people walk in with the other jerseys
in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, it's.
Are they throwing?
They can.
Yeah,
it's
not as bad as the old Oakland Coliseum like that.
Know, man.
No, those people you could get shivved.
They had jails in Philadelphia inside the
stadium.
In
the vet, but the vet has been. I mean, I'm not hearing about people getting taken off the prison at games in Philadelphia these days. I don't think so.
So no opinion whatsoever on the green end zones. Okay,
I'll pay attention this weekend. By the way, my mom's coming into town for the game this weekend.
Nice. She getting in.
I think she'll get in before Friday where she can gloat if I want. She can come by here and come in studio. We can do our picks head to head.
All right. Director's got the extra camera, so we'll break that out.
Let's thank our we should do it. We should do it. I haven't told her that yet. She's never been in studio to make picks.
Let's make that happen.
I've been doing this for 25 years. She's only been on for, I think, 15, maybe a little bit more than that. But, yeah. And she's got a 3-game lead on me.
Maybe we can get some cake to celebrate.
No chance. Blueberry pie. Strawberry rhubarb pie, which is delicious. Pineapple pie is delicious. Very underrated. People don't ever think about pineapple pie. Apple pie is very good.
Basmati.
All I know is rice. Oh, my goodness. So let's thank our friends at Power Mill, by the way. And I grow sadder by the minute, understanding that soon we will not have this segment to celebrate, not in its current capacity. Power Mill, powering performance. Power Mill Training Academy, equipping your young athletes focused on baseball and or softball, could be softball, right? With the specific tools to reach their true potential. 27 alumni in the majors, 45 years of experience, 2,000 total alumni. Developing strong fundamental skills, foundational to any player's game, which is why your softball training program or your baseball training program will focus on the skills that help them reach their true potential and the next level. Power Mill. Cue it up, Tom.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Well, here's the good news. We actually have 3 games, and while you and I are doing our JCS Interactive, one of them will be late and hopefully closely contested. Nerve-wracking as it might be for Director Matthew and the legions of Braves fans that live here in Tallahassee. Braves, Phillies, Bryce Elder, Aaron Nola. Stros, Twins. Come on, Twins. Let's buck up. Let's force a game 5. Jose Urquidy and Joe Ryan. That game's at Target Field. Been to Target Field. Saw 2 games at Target Field. Really like that ball.
It's not a turf field.
No, it's nice.
Grass in Minnesota.
Nice. Man, craziest. I'll show you a picture someday. Craziest pending storm in the backdrop that I've ever seen. I thought we were going to die at Target Field. It was pitch black, just racing towards the stadium. We were delayed an hour and a half, but stayed. Sustained by ice-cold beverages, we made it through an hour and a half, and then they came back out and played, and we stayed to the end.
That's what they do in the Midwest. They know.
Yeah. Got to be hardy. Dodgers D-backs. How great is it that the Dodgers may get swept the hell out of the playoffs? Get the hell up out of here, LA. That'd be awesome. Most people didn't even know the D-backs were in the playoffs, let alone on the cusp of sweeping the Dodgers. Lance Lynn starts tonight for the Dodgers. He is 65 years old. Amazing. Brandon Pfaadt goes for the D-backs, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bubble. By the way, Brandon's got the cool 10.13 ERA. Postseason, it's a weird sort of thing. Whereas Aaron Nola has a 0 ERA, for example. At this point in the postseason. 0.
Who you got? Any wagers on baseball?
No, baseball.
You lay off the postseason?
Well, most of the time I'm laying off baseball these days. Just baseball screams, don't bet on me. It just should say, so-and-so, -110, who the hell knows? It's baseball. It's crazy. You could have the vastly superior team, as we've seen, and I've talked about at length. Rest in peace, Baltimore. Sorry about that, Ira. They hadn't been swept, not once, the entirety of a 162-game season, and get swept in their first series in the postseason. Cruel. It's a cruel game. It's just mean-spirited. I won't, that's the problem. Like, I'll watch the Pirates next year. They played pretty well towards the end of the year. They got some young talent that came up. Might have a little something going. We'll see. I mean, I don't think they're, playoff contender necessarily, but they may finish over 500 next year. They got a shot. And I'll watch that and I'll enjoy the hell out of it. And if by chance they get to the playoffs, I'll have 0 expectations. And that's the only way you can do it.
That's the best way to do it.
And it's hard because once the game starts, it's, you're like, well, I mean, I care. I'm going to watch. I want them to win. I can't help but get hurt if they lose, but
we're dead already. We're here and we're dead already.
Yeah. I mean, it's cruel. It is something to behold when you look at those numbers. Again, 1 in 10 teams, the 5 teams that won 92 games or more in the postseason are 1-10 so far. And I went back the year before, 3-10 of the teams that won 92 plus games. None of them won a series. Now, the American League, oddly enough, went much more according to plan. The teams with the 2 best records, the Astros and the Yankees a year ago, played in the ALCS. And the Astros won 106 games and went on to the World Series, which, of course, we know. You know, I mean, that's – but it is I was looking at this. John Smoltz said that if the Orioles and Rangers series was played 10 different times, you'd get very different results. I'm sure you would get some different results. The retort to him was maybe the Orioles were built to win a lot of series in the regular season. And there is something to that, by the way. We've seen teams do that. Remember that Seattle team that won, 108 games and then got beat by the White Sox in the playoffs? It was a long time ago. 98, I think. But like if your rotation, if you have a plus pitcher in your 3 spot, 4 spot, 5 spot, you are going to win a lot more series than you're not in the regular season. But in the postseason, you don't see those guys.
No, so, okay, this was the first of San Francisco's 3 titles. They played, I think it was the Phillies who were the prohibitive favorite. They had Halladay and Oswalt, I think. And they had Lincecum and Kane, and they were able to win those key matchups. And again, I think it was a best of 5 that they had advanced through. But San Francisco was a 3-1 or a 4-1 underdog. I think also the bettorers and the markets figured it out that this is still a game of almost a coin flip in most situations.
Yeah, home field advantage in baseball is useless. If I can't hit my spots, if my starting pitcher that night, no matter how crazed my fans are, walks the first 2 hitters that he faces, and ground ball to the right side, slow roller. We got second and third one out. Now there's a single. We're down 2-0. Goodbye, fans.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I get that Atlanta came back and they're the outlier, from 4-0 down late in the game. That's incredible.
That was incredible, and that play is incredible. Everything about that was fun to watch.
There's no more lonely feeling than being down 2-0 going into the bottom of the first at home in a playoff.
Oh, it's the worst. And so I felt bad. Again, I say this, when the other night when Texas scored right off the bat with that home run, 460-foot blast, I went, oh,
yeah,
not good in a must-win situation to see that thing leave the yard.
That was yesterday. The Astros hit the Twins in the face in the first inning. It was 3-4 runs before you even sit down, and you're like, well, this game's over. And it's not, because
it's not. It's baseball, and they had opportunities.
The Twins had,
bases loaded several times.
Yes, if it was Section B, they'd have the duck call going on 3 or 4 of those innings for ducks on the pond. And they didn't cash, but you're always chasing. It's just playoff baseball. Like, playoff hockey is very different from the regular season. Playoff baseball is crack. Every pitch feels like,
oh yeah,
everything rides on this pitch.
Hey, I joked that the Dodgers are on the cusp and all of that. So the Dodgers on the brink of elimination, and they've got to start Lance Lynn. And I said he's 65 years old. He's not. He's 36 years old. He gave up 44 home runs in 180 innings this year. Did you hear that stat, Director Matthew? 44. Who was the reliever you hated? There's no chance he was on pace to give up that many home runs.
Adam Morgan.
Oh, my God. He hates Adam Morgan in a way that is unhealthy.
Aaron Heilman did that once.
44 home runs. Sweet Jesus, sir.
It might have been 10.
You're allowed to pitch overhand. What do we...
Isn't it also interesting that Chris Young, soft toss, and Chris Young is the architect
He's the architect,
Rangers?
Yeah.
What?
Old softy. 6'8" softy out there getting it done, Tommy.
I want a bunch of guys that are not like me on the mound. That's what I want.
So the good news for you Dodger fans is that Brandon Pfaadt was overmatched against the Brewers. But, we'll see.
What you sipping on tonight?
I don't know that I'm going to, Tom. Maybe just a tea or a coffee late cup of Joe for me, maybe. Got a lot of things I got to do.
Okay.
Busy man right now, buddy.
Green tea, yay or nay?
I like green tea.
You like green tea?
I like green tea. Good job out of you. Good job, Director Matthew. Thanks to all who listened and or watched or both. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Have a great night. Don't forget, tonight, the JCS Interactive. Tom and I will get together at 7 p.m. Looking forward to it. We'll take your questions. We'll have a conversation. Why don't we, right? Cheers. Be good, everybody.